Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada, the rubber match between the Leafs and the Jets. And you couldn't find a more different game on tonight versus the two games that came before tonight. They were both uh, freewheeling, high chance games that resulted in a couple of close finishes, 4-3 finishes. And tonight, at least at the start, it was a totally different game. And the coaches had both talked about it. Like, they said this is going to be a much more defensive game, or at least that's their plan, right? Whether the players buy into that and try that or not, you never know until the game starts. But it did turn out that way. It was very low chance first period. I think it was 5 or 6 or 7 minutes into the first, and I looked at the shots and it was 2-1 Toronto. Like there was just not a lot going on. Good pace and stuff like that, but just a lot more. They really had to fight for their chances a lot harder than they did in the previous game. So they went to the break. I can't stop. They went to the break scoreless, and it looked like things were just going to continue to be that kind of a defensive grind. But the scoring started to come early on in the first period, just like a minute or 2 minutes in. Winnipeg got on the board first, which seems to be what happens every game with them for some reason. But 4 minutes later or whatever, around the 5 minute mark, the Leafs would score consecutive back-to-back goals 2 minutes apart, basically, to take a 2-1 lead. And overall, even though the first period was low chance, I think the shots were even at the end of the period. I thought the Leafs had more going on. I thought they were slightly better than the Jets. And after the Leafs scored those 2 goals in that first half, after Winnipeg opened the scoring, they really seemed like they were poised to take over, and they were riding that momentum, and they looked really good. My voice is cracking like I'm going through puberty still. 44 and not yet a man. The first Leaf goal that was scored about 5 minutes in was a shorthanded goal by Jake Muzzin, the defenseman, no less, right? Marner, they sprung a break. I think it was a 3-on-2 maybe, or a 3-on-1. And Marner sprung down the right wing, and Kerfoot over on the left side was driving hard towards the net and looked like he was going to be the pass option Marner was going to go with. It looked like the obvious one, and I think Winnipeg thought that too. Because they totally didn't cover Muzzin, who was kind of coming up behind, and Marner just dropped it back to the Muzz, and he just wired a wrist shot, high glove side, perfect shot sort of thing. So, unbelievably, the Leafs' first shorthanded goal of the season. If you've been watching them at all, not every time, but it's common that when the Leafs are shorthanded, with Marner and Mikheyev out there, they just generate chances shorthanded. They just both have a knack at getting hold of the puck and doing something with it on those when they're a man down. And so it's just remarkable that they hadn't at least scored one yet this year. So now they do, and it was Muzzin, the least likely guy, one of the least likely guys you're going to think is going to score a shorty for them, right? So, but anyways, that was the first goal. Couple minutes later, it was Nylander who struck, and it was a good play by Thornton to create a turnover in the neutral zone and then just kind of flip it across the blue line. And Nylander, this was all along the left side, and Nylander did a really good job to stay onside and gain control of the puck. And then he just drove toward the net and put a wrist shot on that. It kind of hit Brossard, I can't say his name, on the pad or the arm or something, and then kind of climbed in, sort of thing. So the goalie did get a piece, but it did find a way in. So, like I said, 2-1 Leafs all of a sudden, and it looked like they were going to roll. And for the rest of the period, they did look pretty good, but Winnipeg tied it up when Stastny tipped a shot, and it went to the break 2-2. But even then, I thought, well, you know what? They were the slightly better team in the first period. They got the momentum in the second, and they looked like they were still going to be the better team. So I thought, third, we're looking good, right? The wheels fell off. I don't know what it was, but Winnipeg just was able to take over in the third, and they scored 3 straight goals across the third. And Keefe, the Leaf coach, they got into penalty trouble, and he got really pissed off with the refs for some of the calls that they made. And it's understandable because, I mean, you have a game like their last one when a guy slashes Riley's stick in overtime and breaks it and leaves them hung out to dry, and that's not a penalty. But then you see there was a lot of penalties tonight, and you just saw the quality of some of the calls they made, and it's like, well, what the fuck is it, right? Like, some nights you're gonna call everything, other nights you're gonna let guys just break each other's sticks and let it go. Like, it's that consistency, right? So he ended up getting a penalty. The coach did. So and then they got torched. One or more. I don't remember. I'd kind of tuned out at that point. Were power play goals, and so they ended up losing 5-2, and they just kind of lost it in the third period there. So, which is disappointing because, like I said, I thought they were poised to take it in the third period and win another game. So that is the way that ended. And I get Keefe's frustration. I think he was frustrated at the calls, but also at the Leafs' current situation, because he made some comments that, you know what, we've only won one of our last 4 games before tonight's game, and it was in overtime, right? So I think he's I don't think he's frustrated with the team per se, because those 3 losses, the 2 against Vancouver, like I said, and then the first Winnipeg loss, they were the better team in all of them. You know, they just ran into that hot goaltending, like I said, and then got come back on in the one Vancouver game, and you know, so it's not like the Leafs have kind of gone quiet and the effort level's down. They're not skating, whatever. They're playing very well still right now. They just the circumstances around those games just caused them to lose, right? So I don't think he's frustrated with the team and their effort so much, but just at the situation, right, where they haven't won in a while, and they've been at the top of the North Division for so long now with a comfortable lead, and with these losses piling up a bit, that gap is starting to close, right? So I think it's more like, no, guys, we just need to freaking get some wins and keep that buffer, right? Because once you get down into the pack, you know, anything can happen, right? Like, especially when you're playing all these teams so many times. If you go on a losing streak against a certain team over a series with them, and they're one of the teams you're fighting with for a playoff spot, there, you know, all of a sudden you can be on the outside looking in and going, what the hell happened, right? So I think he's more just frustrated at that, not necessarily at the team, because their effort's been there. It's just the effort, the execution's been there. It's just they haven't had the puck luck and that sort of thing. I think they do need to buck up their special teams a little bit, especially their penalty kill. They have let a lot of power play goals in lately, so I'm not sure why, because their penalty killing was actually really good at the start of the season, and it's just kind of tapered off. So that's kind of the one area I would, if I could choose for them to be better in right now, I think I would choose the penalty killing. So, but yeah, otherwise a tough loss tonight, but they got Ottawa tomorrow. Sometimes it's good when you have a loss like that where you have a back-to-back game, because you can just, like they said, that you could just not think about it and just get out the next night, put in an effort, get a win, and then it kind of makes it all better, right? And the loss won't eat away at you for a couple of days before you can get a chance to get back out on the ice. So, and Ottawa always plays the Leafs tough, no matter how bad they are. So it's not going to be an easy game by any means, just because of that. But they are an inferior opponent based on where the two teams are at. So hopefully, you know, the Leafs can take this opportunity to get back in the win column and start banking points again, and never give up that lead in the North. So, but we will find out soon enough, in less than 24 hours. So until then, have a great rest of the weekend.